Welcome back, listeners. Tonight's tale takes us deep into the kind of story we all hope isn't true, but fear it might be. It's a story about something hidden in plain sight. A cursed space, sealed not with locks or latches, but by something colder, darker, and much harder to escape. It begins with a young man named Cal, a teenager on summer break. All he wanted was to help his cousin run a small cafe, make a little money, get some experience, stay nearby, so he wouldn't have to make the long commute each day. Simple, right? Well, not quite, because when Cal and his cousin Tun went looking for a cheap place to rent, they found a room that was perfect on paper, fully furnished, low rent, great location. Just one problem. Room 413 was too perfect, too cheap, too furnished, too available. And as they stood outside the door of that strange room in a crumbling, pale white building, with the odd landlady lingering behind them, pushing the keys into their hands, they didn't know that they weren't just opening a door. They were opening something else entirely. This is the story of Room 413. And if you've ever rented a place that just didn't feel quite right, you might want to leave the lights on for this one. Let's begin. Cal was just your average high school kid on break, eager to earn a little extra cash. His cousin Tun had recently lost his job but bounced back fast, opening a small cafe near a university. He asked Cal to help run it. No big deal. Cal agreed. It was something to do, and hey, the money didn't hurt. But the commute? That did hurt. 2 hours each way, every single day. Wake up before dawn, get back long after dark. After 2 weeks of this exhausting routine, Tun pulled Cal aside. You shouldn't have to keep doing this, he said. I'll help you find a place nearby, just something small, just for the summer. They went room hunting that very evening. The first few options? Clean, nice, safe, but expensive, way beyond what they budgeted. And then they saw it. An old white building tucked between narrow alleys, faded paint, cracked walls, and a rusty sign barely hanging on the entrance. It looked forgotten. A guardhouse stood empty out front, cobwebbed and dusty. But they stepped inside anyway, and that's when she appeared. The landlady, wiry, with sharp eyes and a voice that clipped every syllable. You want room? She asked, without so much as a greeting. Room 413, top floor. You take now. Tun, for some reason, lit up. He turned to Cal. Let's go see it. The elevator didn't work, of course, so they climbed. 1 flight, 2, 3, and finally, the 4th floor. There it was, room 413, at the very end of the hallway. The woman didn't lead them. She followed, slow and silent, then handed Tun the key. Click, the door opened, and inside was a surprise. A fully furnished room, twin beds, a working air conditioner, a flat-screen TV, even a desk by the window. Not bad at all. And all for 3,500 baht a month. Too good to be true? Maybe, because one thing was off. The bathroom door. It wasn't what like you'd expect. It was glass, frosted, sure, but still see-through enough that if someone was inside, you'd know. Cal hesitated. His instincts whispered no, but Tun didn't wait. He turned, smiled, and said, let's take it. And just like that, the key to room 413 was theirs. If only they had known. Some doors shouldn't be opened. Tun didn't stay. Just as the sun dipped below the skyline, he handed Cal the key and said, sleep here tonight. I'll bring my stuff tomorrow. Cal forced a smile and nodded, but inside, he didn't want to stay. Not in that room. Not alone. Still, he told himself it was just one night. So he did what anyone might do to keep the silence at bay. Flipped on every light. Cranked the AC. Let the TV run, even though he wasn't watching. Noise, light, movement. All to pretend he wasn't really alone. By 10 p.m., exhaustion won. Cal collapsed onto the bed. Shoes still on. Shirt damp with sweat. Eyes half open as the flickering screen played some old drama in the background. But the night wasn't done with him. Not yet, because just past midnight, everything died. The TV blinked out. The AC whined, then stopped. Every light gone. Suddenly, room 413 was drowning in blackness. The kind of darkness that hums in your ears. The kind that feels thick. Cal jolted awake, heart pounding. He grabbed his phone, flicked on the screen, his only light source, and stumbled toward the door, breath quick, skin prickling. The hallway? Perfectly lit. Downstairs? All normal. He found the old security guard sitting quietly near the front. "Excuse me," Cal said, trying not to sound shaken. "My room. Power's out." The guard looked up, eyes flicking toward the stairwell. His voice was low, uneasy. "No one else on that floor." He paused, then added, "Maybe power come back soon." Cal didn't ask more. He didn't want to know more. He went back up, and sure enough, the room was lit up again. TV on, AC humming, lights glowing like nothing had happened. Everything normal, except one thing. The bathroom light, still on. Cal was sure, absolutely sure, he hadn't touched it. He hadn't even gone near the bathroom. And later, when he stepped outside to get some air, he looked up at the building and saw one light glowing from room 413. The bathroom, faint, yellow, like an eye, staring back. It wasn't just on, it was waiting. The next day, Tun came back, true to his word. He unlocked the door, took 2 steps inside, and stopped. "What the hell, Cal?" he muttered. "Why is the place so filthy?" Cal blinked in confusion until he looked closer. The floors, once spotless, were now smeared with footprints. Not dry, not dusty. Damp, oily. The prints trailed from the bathroom door, weaving into the room like someone had been pacing, dragging. Cal felt his stomach tighten. "I didn't do this," he whispered. Tun didn't answer. Instead, he pushed open the bathroom door, and there, sitting under the flickering light, was the bathtub, coated in a greenish, slick grime, like rot, like something that hadn't been touched in decades, but had suddenly come alive. Tun wrinkled his nose. "That's disgusting." That night, Tun stayed over. Cal, hoping to finally relax, made a choice. A bath, warm water, a few minutes of peace. That's all he wanted. He filled the tub. Steam curled into the air. He slid in slowly, eyes heavy from days of unease. The heat dulled his thoughts. He leaned back, gazed up at the ceiling. It was stained, spotted with brown watermarks, like old leaks. Some ran directly above the tub. Others looked fresh. Then, something brushed his lips. He jolted upright, coughing. Something soft, wet, clinging. He spat it out onto his hand. Hair, a black clump, long, tangled, not his, floating in the water, trailing from the drain, winding around his fingers like it had been waiting. He screamed. The scream echoed through the tiles. But the only answer was silence. That night, Cal didn't take any chances. He left the lights on, the TV, even the bathroom door slightly ajar, just enough to see the glow. He curled up on the bed, back to the room, facing the wall. The silence was thick, broken only by the low hum of electronics and his own heartbeat. But sometime past midnight, something shifted. It wasn't a sound. It wasn't a breeze. It was a feeling, the kind that tightens around your chest, like someone watching you breathe. Cal's eyes fluttered open, his body stiff. Slowly, reluctantly, he rolled over to face the rest of the room. And there, just beyond the frosted bathroom glass, were legs. Pale, thin, floating. A woman's legs, suspended inches above the tiled floor. He couldn't move, couldn't speak. The outline of her body was blurry behind the glass. But it was real, too real. He let out a strangled scream. Tun bolted upright from the other bed, startled. "What is it now, Cal?" "Stop freaking out." Cal pointed, voice shaking. "The bathroom. She's in the bathroom." Tun stormed over, swung the door open. Nothing, just cold air and silence. "You need to stop," Tun snapped. "You're working yourself up." But Cal knew what he saw. Those legs, that floating shape, the same shape he'd now seen 2 nights in a row. Cal couldn't take it anymore. He pleaded with Tun the next morning. "Let me sleep at the cafe, just a few nights." But Tun shook his head, annoyed. "You've got a room now. Stop being dramatic." Then, just to make sure, he took the cafe's key. Cal was trapped, alone. That night, he returned to room 413, heart pounding with every step. He turned on every single light. The TV volume high, the air conditioner blasting cold. He lay in bed fully clothed, afraid to blink, let alone sleep. But like clockwork, everything went dark. Lights, air, gone. In the pitch black, Cal shifted his body, panic rising. His leg bumped into something. Soft, cold. He froze. And then, he looked. At the edge of the bed, She was there, a woman, hair tangled, skin pale, clothes soaked in something dark. She was sitting, knees drawn close, head tilted forward, and from her throat, a low, wet laugh began to rise, choking, raspy, almost amused, like she was enjoying this moment. Cow trembled. Then, slowly, she turned her head. Only her head. Her body didn't move. Her shoulders remained hunched, but her neck twisted unnaturally until she faced him and smiled, not out of joy, but out of knowing, as if to say, "You're not leaving, Cow. Not yet." Cow didn't care anymore. He ran, out the door, down the stairs, and into the night. He didn't stop until he reached a dingy old gaming cafe down the road. He curled up on a beanbag chair, fully clothed, still shaking, and stayed there until morning light filtered in through the windows. The next day, Tun arrived at the cafe. When he saw Cow, hollow-eyed, pale, clearly not having slept, his cocky disbelief finally cracked. "Fine," Tun muttered. "I'll stay there tonight. If I see something, just one thing, we're out." Cow said nothing, just nodded. That night, they returned to room 413 together. They tried to make it normal, joked nervously, left the lights on, played music on low. Everything felt wrong, but the lights didn't go out. Cow almost allowed himself to relax, until they both heard it. Soft, far away, but clear. A woman's voice, crying. The sound drifted across the room like smoke. Not from the hallway. Inside, with them. Cow stared at Tun, wide-eyed. Tun didn't say anything at first. He just sat still. His hands were clenched, his eyes fixed on nothing. Then finally, in a low, shaking whisper, he said, "Go to sleep." A pause. "Tomorrow we leave." The next morning, Cow and Tun packed in silence. Neither spoke about the night before. There was nothing left to say. They both knew. They just wanted out. Downstairs, the landlady was waiting, arms crossed, lips tight in a sour smile. "No refund," she said coldly. "You leave early. Not my problem." Tun didn't argue. He just handed her the keys, turned around, and walked away. The deposit, 3,500 baht, was gone. But compared to what they'd seen, it was a cheap price to pay. Later that week, while running errands near the cafe, they ran into a man who used to work at the building, a former maintenance guy, long retired. They told him the story, not mentioning which room. He listened, eyes narrowing, until finally he asked, "What room was it?" Tun hesitated, then answered, 413. The man's face drained of color. He stepped back like they'd just spoken a curse. "That room's cursed," he whispered. "Everyone knows. Nobody stays long." Then, the real story. Years ago, a couple lived there, husband and wife. He was jealous, violent. One day he snapped, beat her to death, didn't know what to do with the body. So he shoved it into the ceiling above the bathtub. Let her rot there. The blood, the stains, the oily footprints, the hair in the water. Suddenly, everything made sense. She never left. They say ghosts haunt the place of their death. But sometimes, it's not just the place they cling to. Sometimes, it's the people. The ones who step too far inside. The ones who see them, hear them, feel them. Cow didn't ask for it. He just wanted a summer job, a place to sleep. But room 413, it doesn't care what you want. It waits for the next footsteps, the next bargain seeker. So if you ever find a rental, one that's too cheap, with furniture that's far too nice, and a landlord in too much of a hurry to hand over the keys, ask yourself, what are you really paying for? And if that room has a glass bathroom door, whatever you do, don't look inside. Long pause. Until next time, listeners. Sleep well, if you can.